Okay, so we're going to take 5 minutes, and you're going to draw some checkerboard shapes. Draw some square shapes. Draw some irregular shapes. So practice making checkerboards. Try seeing if you can do it so it looks like the triangle did, where it looks where the points come and meet to a point.
Do we have to make a square?
You don't have to make a square, but you want to make square shapes. You want to practice with triangle shapes. You want to practice with irregular shapes. These drawing warm-up exercises are really good for you to practice when you don't have anything in particular that you want to be drawing. This is just another type of doodling.
I know how she acts, but I guess ain't doing that. I mean, that's when she goes, that's when fun is. She needs to get more time. You said so. Look at that.
Another 2 minutes. All right, tell me how it felt when you first had to start the assignment. How did it feel doing it in your hand? How did your hand feel? How did your mind feel? Crazy. And how about as you went on doing it? Did it change? Yeah. Was it easier? Yes. How many people challenged themselves and went with a crazy irregular shape? Yeah. Okay, awesome. You did a triangle. You tried perspective. You tried doing it with perspective. Awesome. So we're going to actually talk about perspective today, ladies. All right, so some vocabulary words. These will be found on the front page of today's workbook packet. Horizon line. Horizon line is always the line that's at the level of your eyes. So, look at this picture. I'm going to move my hands down the screen, and I want you to yell stop when it hits the horizon line.
Stop. Oh, sorry.
Somebody said stop. Do you guys agree?
No, girl. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Stop, girl.
Stop? Yeah. Does everybody agree?
Yes. Stop.
Do you agree? No. Okay, so we have up here, right here, and right here. So, where is the horizon line? If we look at the definition, the horizon line is always at the level of your eyes and will change with the elevation of view. Okay? We're going to learn what elevation of view is. But if it's always at the level of your eyes, where was this picture taken? Where was the camera? The camera could have been in the water.
It could have been a water camera.
It could have been an underwater camera. It could have been. It could have been a swimmer that was standing in the water.
Yeah.
Okay? But they're in the water. This here would be a horizon line. And in the next picture, you'll see. But this is actually the horizon line because it is sitting at your eye level. This is where your eyes, the photographer wanted your eyes to get drawn to this point, to this water right here. If they had moved the camera up a little bit, then your elevation of view would have changed. The elevation, the height of your view would have changed. And therefore, this line back here is a true horizon line. This is a horizon line. But it's not the horizon line of this picture. That's important to understand. It's important to understand that there can be multiple horizon lines, but there's the horizon line of the picture or of the main subject. This water is the subject. This back here is the background. Okay? Subject. What is the subject? It's the object or scene that you are drawing or painting. So what is the subject of this picture? The water. Not the whole ocean, but the water that you see up close. What is the subject of this picture? The paintbrushes? What do you think that the artist is trying to convey? Art, the creation of art. Picture plane. So the picture plane, it's the surface of the picture. So, on this particular object, we have the front plane, the side right, the top plane right side, the top plane, the underplane. This is important to understand when we're drawing 3D shapes. A piece of paper is actually 2D. Okay? And the way that we know that it's 2D is because paper comes in different thicknesses. So this piece of paper is exceptionally thin. It's a thin piece of paper. But you can buy paper that's thicker. Can I borrow your book for a second? The weight of your paper in your book, in your drawing pad, is thicker than your copy paper in your notebook. Okay? And it's because it has dimension to it. So even though you can't see the dimension, they have tools that can actually measure how thick this paper is. This is not a flat plane. This actually has depth to it. It's very small depth, but there's still depth. So what happens is that the plane, when we're drawing a 3D shape on a 2D piece of paper, we have to give the illusion of depth. And we do that by using what? How do we make something look from 2D to 3D? Shading. And angles and perspective. Okay, so in this, the shape is made to look 3D because we have different angles and we can see the lines. But if you look, each side has a different shape to it. Okay? Elevation of view. Tell me, is this a high elevation of view or a low elevation of view? Okay. Low. Why do you say that it's low?
Because it's from a lower angle.
That's actually correct. Low elevation of view. The higher we go on the object, the higher the elevation of view, the higher our eyes go. Okay? So we can have a high elevation of view and we can look down onto something. Remember last week how we were talking about looking at a cone or a cylinder and how they can look like, how a cone can look like a circle? But it's not until we change the elevation of our view and we come down from the top of it that we start to see whether it's a cylinder or whether it's a cone. That's by changing the elevation of view. Viewing point. It's the straight line from our eye to the horizon. Where is the horizon on this picture? Tell me when to stop. Does anybody not agree?
No.
Keep going lower.
Stop.
Does everybody agree? All right, so we have two different points that we're talking about. One group told me to stop here, the other group told me to stop about here. Somebody from this group that told me to stop here, can you tell me why? Why did you tell me to stop here? And why do you defend your point? Tell me why this is the correct answer. Why you think it's the correct answer. You picked it. Somebody's got to tell me. Somebody from this group that told me to stop here. Tell me why.
I think it's like the railing.
Okay, we'll go to that point in a minute. But this point right here in the water.
I think that stop there because that's the
Guys, I can't have side conversations going on. Because you think why?
because that's where the swimmer was standing.
Okay, because you think that's where the swimmer was standing. Okay. Somebody else said it was at the railing. Tell me why.
Because it sticks out the most.
Because it sticks out the most. So this is actually the horizon line in this picture. Okay? The horizon line, because your eye, this is the center of the picture, this is where your eye naturally goes to. It goes to the straight line. And then it starts to look at the rest of the picture and take in the rest of the details. But if you close your eyes and you open them, your eye is naturally going to go to the straight line. The line, because you have a distinct lightness and darkness here, and it's naturally going. So this is your viewing point. This is the straight line. They're standing on a boat. They're standing here, so this is the railing. But if they were at a lower elevation, this railing would be higher and we would see more, and that would make the railing the horizon line. Okay? But because this is right in the middle, we can picture, or if we wanted to picture a road being built, drawn, and you have a point back here or back here, this is the point where points would converge on your horizon line. So there's something called a vanishing point. Vanishing point are lines that are parallel to one another. Are these lines parallel? Oh, what did we talk about last week? We're not in math class, right? What was the definition of parallel lines? Lines that are not that run next to each other, but they do not touch. So, are these lines touching? No. But we can picture that at some point they could touch back here, can't they?
Yeah.
Okay, but in this picture, are those parallel lines? Yes.
Yeah.
They're parallel because they run next to each other. They don't have, in art, lines don't have to be parallel, perfect straight lines. Parallel lines can also do swirls, right?
Yeah.
Parallel lines can also do zigzags. Okay? Parallel lines don't have to be perfectly straight like they are in math. So I don't normally run through definitions like this, but these definitions are important to understand for the rest of the assignment, for the rest of the class. So I tried playing with it different ways and not making you guys have to get all definitions to start, but there was just no way with this lesson. There's a lot of terms. We're going to talk about perspective. Okay? We have 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, and 3-point perspective. Okay? And I'm going to show you with drawings how that works. But with 1-point perspective, objects are viewed straight on. We look at them straight. Okay? We see it straight. That's it. 1-point perspective. Okay? The edges of the front, top and bottom, and sides of the object are parallel to the edges of the picture plane. Remember we talked about picture plane? That's your piece of paper or what you're drawing. Okay? Extend into the picture, and they meet at a vanishing point, giving the illusion of depth. But when you're looking at it straight on, you don't see the sides, you don't see the bottom, you don't see the top. Okay? Yes. So we're right here. I'll make sure you stand there. Okay, no worries. Okay, so in 2-point perspective, you view it from an angle. You look at the object at an angle. You see more than one side of the object. The height is the only thing that's actually parallel to the picture plane. The other side recedes into the picture depth. These are the vanishing points and will also be established on the horizon line. The further apart the points are, the more we see of the sides. The closer together the points are, the less we see of the sides. And then there's 3-point perspective. Viewing an object from above or below. That's your elevation, your viewing elevation. Okay? All vertical lines need to be kept vertical. That's important. The object will appear to be oblique, which means that it's an irregular shape from the side to side and top and bottom. That means that no 2 points match. Okay? Here's an example. Here's an example of a cube in 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspective. This is to give you an understanding. 1-point perspective. Here is your square. we're looking at it straight on, then we wouldn't see these sides. It would just look like a square. Our vanishing point is back here, which means that the object that we draw the lines to recede back to that point. And we're going to practice this. With 2-point perspective, there are 2 vanishing points. Here's our square, and here's our square. We only have one side that faces us, this straight line. And we use the vanishing points to draw the rest of the lines. This particular picture, does it have a high viewing point or a low viewing point? High or low? If you think it's high, raise your hand. You're correct. 3-point perspective. For 3-point perspective, there are 3 vanishing points. This is the same cube. Okay? The same cube. The only difference is that we are adding a 3rd perspective vanishing point down here. See how these look the same? This is we would add a 3rd vanishing point to draw other things in the picture. Okay, that's what that 3rd vanishing point is for. It doesn't matter so much when you have just one object, but when you have multiple objects on a page, that's when it matters. To try and help you understand this a little bit more, it's a lot of information. I have another video for you. And this is about the basics of horizon lines and vanishing points. Take notes or practice. You can practice drawing the shapes as he goes over them. And we're going to get into more detail and do an exercise once the video's over.
How's it going, everyone? This is the first episode in a series of tutorials where I'll be covering perspective drawing. Perspective is a fundamental aspect when it comes to drawing, so having an understanding of the subject will really help you improve your work. And so in this one, I'm going to be covering the basics, starting off real simple, and then in future videos we can build on top of that and cover the more complex things. But I hope you enjoy this, and I look forward to covering this subject. Now, in order to draw an object without it looking flat on the drawing surface, like this cube, which at the minute is just a square, we use a method of perspective. This doesn't only give our object dimensions, but it also gives an idea of how close or distant the object is in space. What I'm going to do here is draw a simple line in the middle of the page. With practice, you'll be able to do this freehand. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll go ahead and use a ruler so I can get those straight lines. Now, this line is what we call the horizon line. This can also be referred to as the eye level. Everything I talk about in this video relates to real life. For instance, perspective is visible in everything we see. Imagine we are standing in the desert and it's just completely flat sight and we can see as far as possible. What we have here is the horizon line. It's this continuous line and it also is our eye level. For instance, if you was to lay down on the ground, our eye level would be lower, so the horizon line would appear lower as well. And the exact opposite happens if we was to be looking from above with our eye level higher, the horizon line would appear to rise. The horizon line will always be there. If we was to stand in a busy city street, it's still there, but in some sense, this straight line has become obstructed because of all of these objects. So going back to our horizon line here, we are able to start using this in our drawing. But first we need to add something called vanishing point. A vanishing point is a point which always sits on the horizon line. A common example is to imagine a train track going off into the distance, like what I've just drawn here. We can see that this train track converges to one point on the horizon line. Let's take a look at how this horizon line, our eye level, affects our drawings. So in these early examples, I'm going to be using 1-point perspective. We start by creating our horizon line. Now everything that is placed above this line will be looking up, and everything below will be looking down on. So let me create a simple cube using a vanishing point and place this above this line. So I'm starting off by drawing a simple square. Feel free to create any shape you would like, but we will be looking at creating more complex forms in later videos. I then draw some lines from the vanishing point to each corner of the cube, and then I create some vertical and horizontal lines, so that this gives us the side and bottom face. Also, you'll notice that I drafted the edges of the cube that we normally wouldn't see. This allows me to get a better sense of the form and shape of the object.
We're gonna go over it, don't worry. It's just a video just to have you watch it to start.
You can do these at any
Yeah,
time.
nope, we're gonna go over it and practice. That's what the rest of class is for. Just keep watching so you can see how he creates them. Notice where he places them, how they change on what you're able to see of the cube.
So now we have a range of different cubes above our eye level, and we are looking up at them, see the bottom and sides depending on its placement. Now I'm going to do the same but below the horizon, so we are looking down on them. I also want to start this one directly from the converging lines, so instead of having a shape at the start and then adding the sides, here I'm just taking a bit of a different approach. It's pretty much the same process, I'm just drawing the shape whilst we have those lines converging to that vanishing point. Although we are just creating basic cubes right now, through these tutorials, you'll see how much we rely on simple shapes like these. In this first episode, I'm going to briefly introduce 2 and 3 point perspective. I think at this stage, it'll be useful to see how we can create a cube like we've just done here, but with the extra vanishing points.
Remember,
So
it's
2
YouTube,
point
so they
perspective,
speed up the
if you haven't
videos,
guessed
guys.
already, involves 2 vanishing points. So let's start by creating our horizon line like usual, and then marking 2 points on here at the sides. You can change the distance of these points, but be warned that if you bring them too close together, warping could take place in your drawing. But now that I've got these here, I'm going to go ahead and bring 2 lines down from one of these points, and this will give us the bottom and top edge of our cube. And I can draw this in. Now we'll go to the next point and bring lines down to these corners, and this will give us the next side. Finally, we can use what we've just drawn to add the top of the cube. Just to make this more clear, I'm going to draw the upper edges and sides so you can see through this. This is below our eye level and we are looking down on it. I'm going to do the same again, but this time above, and I'll do this in time lapse. I'm going to draw some more shapes around here to give you a few more examples and an idea of how the sense of space is formed as we start to add more into it. Also on this main cube, notice how you don't see the top and bottom cube, you can see the horizon line. So that's 2 points. Now let's take a look at 3 point perspective. Again, we have the horizon line, and like in the last example, I'll place 2 vanishing points. Now we know that this is the vanishing point on the line with these. Instead, this point is going to relate to a different set of lines in our drawing. In this case, with the cube, it will be the vertical. So with this example, I'm placing the point down below. Sometimes this will be off the page, depending on how extreme you want this convergence to be. Also, you'll find quite often that your vanishing points will be away from the drawing surface, so you'll have to estimate the convergence and direction of your lines, but that will become easier with time and the more that you draw in perspective. So when I start to draw in a cube here using these vanishing points, these lines which are vertical in the other examples are converging going towards their own point below. This gives us a cube which looks like this, and it gives a more dynamic appearance in some sense. So along with that, I'm going to show you another example. I'll forget about that vanishing point to the left and create a new one here on the horizon line. This is going to be a smaller example where I'll show you the location of all 3 vanishing points. This is going to be quite an extreme perspective view due to the points being close together, but like usual, like this.
See how that's an oblique shape? Because it's narrower at the bottom, it appears to be narrower at the bottom than it is at the top.
The horizon line and vanishing points of a shape that already exists. So this will probably be easy to understand now that we have been through it, but if we have a cube on its earth, we can locate the eye level by working backwards.
So now we're working backwards. He has the cube and he's finding the vanishing points.
And at that point, we would have our eye level. We can draw in the horizon line. And then from that point, we can work on the drawing we need to, knowing where the horizon line is. That's pretty much the basic stuff that I wanted to cover today. I'm trying to separate these videos into sections so that we can take it one step at a time. So there we go, that pretty much concludes this session.
What?
How's it going, everyone?
Okay. Let's turn in our workbooks to exercise 1. Exercise 1, you're going to find a bunch of pictures. There's going to be 3 pictures. Okay? Your first exercise is you're going to try to find your vanishing points. Use your pencil to find the different lines and try to find the vanishing points in the picture. I also would like for you to draw the horizon line. So you're drawing your vanishing points and you're drawing your straight line for the horizon line. You can make it go off the page, off of the picture, so that it can show up. So you're drawing your vanishing point and your horizon line. Wait, what? Where's the vanishing point? You got it. How about on this picture? The vanishing point and the horizon. So we're here. We're looking, so you're trying to find the vanishing point in the picture, just like he did with the cubes. I want you to look for the vanishing point and the horizon line, just like we did in the pictures, looking for the horizon line. You're going to draw a straight line across to find your horizon line. The vanishing point. That's where all the parallel lines meet at a point. Where the parallel lines meet at a point. Yes. Yep, share them on camera. You know the references? Yes. The pictures here. So look, when you first look at these pictures, really look. So find the vanishing point and the horizon. That right there, that's the horizon line. Okay. Once you've found those points, turn the page. Nope, go to the next page. Your next page should be a blank page. It's gonna say exercise number 1. And it's gonna have nothing on the page other than that. Yep. All right. So now we're going to make a cube. Using our vanishing points and horizon lines. Exercise number 1, you should have nothing on the page except for There you go. All right. You're going to follow along with me step by step. Step 1, draw a square. Not real big. You can draw it down towards the middle to the bottom of your paper. But draw a square. When you look up, then I know that you're ready. Yes, that's it. Okay. Step 2. Step 2. From the top left corner, draw a diagonal line.
Diagonal.
Step 3, draw another diagonal line from the top right. These points are going to meet in the middle. Where the points meet, you're going to draw a straight line for your horizon line. This is your horizon line. The point where all 3 meet, that is your vanishing point. Now, I want you to draw, you're going to darken part of the line. Part of that first line that you drew for the diagonal. You're gonna darken part of it. This is gonna draw the top of your cube. Darken the other side so that the 2 run parallel. And then connect them. Now I would like for you to please draw from the bottom left corner of your square. Draw a straight diagonal line to the vanishing point. You're going to do the same thing from the bottom right. Oh my. Draw a line parallel to the one above. to connect the two lines. You're drawing this bottom line,
Right.
okay? Now connect the bottom left to that back line. We're connecting from here to here. We're darkening that line.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. Darken the other side. Connect your bottom to your top on the right and the left.
I can do that.
And you have just made a cube.
This looks like a circus.
So now you're going to try doing it again. We're going to make it again. I'm sorry, you guys are here for drawing. The only way that you're going to get better is by practicing. Nobody expects you. Remember I told you, I will not expect you to do anything perfectly the first time. It is not expected. You need to keep practicing it. So ready? Turn around. Everybody, if you turn around in your seat, I'm going to do one on the board back here. Okay. So, I have my square. Draw your square. So, when I go to draw something very lightly with my pencil, I'm going to use the blue marker. When I want to make a dark line, I'm going to use my black marker. Okay? So I'm drawing very lightly with my pencil. I'm drawing back. And I'm drawing back. And where the 2 points meet is my vanishing point. I'm drawing a straight line across to make my horizon line. I'm going to choose a point where the two lines are running near each other. I'm going to draw a straight line. Now I have the back of my cube. I'm going to now darken part of the line from the back line to the square. Okay? So now I have the top view of my cube. But I would like to draw the inside of my cube. I'm going to start at the bottom left. I'm drawing lightly. Back to my vanishing point. Ladies, I'm going to draw from the bottom right. I'm drawing this lightly because I'm using my blue marker. I'm drawing back to my vanishing point. I'm now going to pick a point, and I'm going to draw a straight line across, dark. I'm going to connect, dark. I'm going to connect, dark. I've just made a cube. I'm going to go one step further, and now I want you to try this. I'm gonna draw a box and draw it solid inside of my cube. Okay? I want you to try and make this rectangle into a cube. And I'm going to do that by following my vanishing point back. No.
Whoa. Oh. That's still growing. That's still growing.
What I would like for you to do is I would like for you to practice on the next page. We're going to practice turning those squares and rectangles, 8 cubes, using straight lines. Straight lines back to the vanishing point. Just like you've been doing. But each one's gonna, so this one's gonna come this way. And this one's gonna come this way. And this one goes here. Now remember, try drawing lightly because you're drawing lightly. I literally said that in one. Yeah.
And she said.
So remember, you want to make them look like folks. So this one's gonna have something back here too, then you're gonna have to do your little lines. So what I want to see you doing is drawing your vanishing point. So you have to draw from this corner to this to cubes from the different angles. So not this way. You want to go from here to here. And then finish the line. Yep. I did it!
Stop.
How you doing? Yeah? Keep going. You got it?
I think so.
Yeah. Nope, you want to go from here to here.
Oh.
That's your point. So every one of these needs to connect, so this is your vanishing point. So these down here are at your low eye elevation. These up here are at high eye elevation. Okay? Okay. Connect and make sure that they all look like cubes. You're gonna go like this. Here. I'm going to make this one. Yes, that's the point. So now I want you to do the same thing with this one. Here. There. And finish it. Okay? And just into cubes. Making these into cubes. So right now you just connected the points, finished turning them into cubes. So they should all look like cubes.
Oh, they were so ugly. Oh my God.
Straight
They
across.
were stiff. I was gonna say, you say that Roll Magic, that's where I know it from.
Straight across.
Yes, Roll Magic, you used it at my birthday. And, she kept bringing that night.
Straight.
I used to have my friend.
Because you want it to be parallel.
For no reason.
You do it.
She was so
So bring it from here to here. You did it. So now just come and please. Because this is a low elevation. You're only gonna see the bottom. This is the bottom. Here's your front here. Oh, through. Right. Connect all of the lines, all of the points. How are you doing?
No, not look like.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. We're gonna do the same thing for everyone. I'll be right there. Give me 1 second.
No time for that. Please.
We doing? Same exactly the tour. Yeah.
Oh, wait.
She don't really need that. I shouldn't. Yes, bring it on in.
Put it this way.
No.
You did? You're working on that. Good job. If you get creative and you want to continue on, you can move on to the next page, the next exercise, and try and draw a cityscape. Okay? I'm going to show you what that looks like.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. A little bit. Watercolor.
All right, so I'm gonna draw some vanishing points. Remember, I'm using the blue marker, so I'm writing lightly. So here we go. So I just drew some lines out for my vanishing point. Draw a line over here too. Draw a line over here. So now I have some points. Okay. So now I'm gonna make a road. I'm gonna make a road that comes down. I'm following this vantage point. I'm following this vantage point. I'm gonna do a dotted line down the center of my road. It should be yellow, but that's okay because we're working with black and white, right? Yeah. So I have a line down the center of my road. I'm gonna make a sidewalk. So I'm just gonna make a little sidewalk this way. Okay. And my road, my street's gonna end right there. And I'm gonna have another road right here. Okay? So I've got a road coming down, and it's going off into the vanishing point. Here's my sidewalk on either side of the road. This is a 1-point perspective. 1-point perspective. So now I want to draw. I'm going to draw a building right here. Whoop, that's a crooked line. I'm going to draw a big building right here. Okay, so there's the front of my building. How do I build? Now what am I doing? I have to make the side of my building. So I'm going to end my building. I'm going to end it like here. So now I have to draw back to my vanishing point again. So there's my light line so that I know I'm staying on my vanishing point, and I'm drawing there. Okay? I want to make sure that this top here that I'm correct, so I'm going to draw back to my vanishing point. I'm erasing my lines that I'm using for my guide. So now it looks like more like a building. I'm going to make another building right here that's going to be shorter. This is going to be dark in the middle, like a dark alley. Okay, so now I have my point here. I want to make a door. I'm going to make a door in the front of my building. You know what? My building needs to have 2 doors. I'm going to put another door over here. I'm going to go back to my vanishing point. So this way, my door is on an angle. I'm going to draw another building over here. Lines back to my vanishing point. I always go back to the vanishing point. That's how I know that I keep my picture in perspective. Whoa. Erase my guidelines. Draw the front door. And I'm going to draw my side door. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to erase all of my guidelines. I want you to see what happens. There's a basic city. I've got a couple of buildings. My hair's falling out. I'm going bald. How many people have started their cities?
I give up.
Don't give up.
I couldn't do it. I really couldn't.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Yes. Uh-huh. You did. You did it. You made this one. Yes. This one goes this way. You did it right. There's the side, there's the front. Two sides. Okay. So we're having trouble with the idea of making a city.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Let's try it again. Yes. We're going to try again. Go ahead and turn around and let's try again. You're going to tell me what to do now. How about that? The only way that you guys are going to get this is you have to practice.
Okay.
And you have to listen. You have to pay attention. Okay? So, step one, draw your horizon line. Draw your horizon line. Step two, draw your vanishing point. Step three, lightly sketch some guidelines. Okay? Step four, draw. Oh, wrong marker, sorry.
Wait, where did you go?
At the bottom of your guidelines, I'm going to make a straight line to make the end of my road.
No.
We are doing draw your cityscape. No, elliptic, no. You are doing draw a cityscape. Okay. So we drew the end, we drew the bottom of our road. We're going to make our actual road now from the vanishing point, tracing over our guideline. We're going to make that guideline dark. This is our road. There's a lot of talking up in the front. Now I'm gonna do dotted lines down the middle to make the dotted lines on the road. And dotted lines going across to show my other road. And then draw a straight line underneath it. So now it looks like a road. So now, yes, then go to your sketchbook if you already filled up your page. So now we have to make what? A building, right?
Yeah, I did.
So the way we make the building, I'm going to start at the end of my sidewalk, and I'm going to draw a straight line up, and I'm going to make myself a rectangle. Just a regular rectangle. Just a regular rectangle. No tricks. Regular rectangle. Now, lightly, I'm going to make guidelines back to my vanishing point. I'm doing this lightly. I'm going to decide where I want my building to end, and I'm going to draw a straight line down from one guideline down to the sidewalk. Straight parallel line. I'm going to draw another parallel line straight across. So I did one line straight down, and then from the top of that line, I went straight across from one guideline to the other guideline. And now I'm going to connect them to make them dark.
Trick question.
Now I'm going to go over to the other side of my street because I need a building over here. I'm going to make this one a short building. So I'm going to draw another rectangle. A regular rectangle, no surprises. No surprises. I'm going to use my blue line. So I'm drawing lightly. I'm going from the point to from the point on the square to the vanishing point. Parallel line down. Parallel line across. Connect the lines. Are you guys following along a little bit easier this time?
Yes.
Oh. You have to focus. Okay. Now we're going to get a little tricky. We're going to get a little tricky because now we only have 2 buildings. I want you to have 4 buildings on your city.
4.
So, how do we get 4 buildings? We're going to take a parallel line and go straight up and down right here. Short. This is going to be a short building right here.
They're short.
Okay? Guideline backwards. Also extend it forwards. So this way you know where the top of your building needs to be. Now challenge them. Last week they were just like, we got this, we don't want to do this. Now they're all gonna practice. Okay, now we're gonna do a parallel line straight across. This is when it's gonna look like magic.
Wow.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Mommy. Sorry to disturb you guys.
Not a problem.
Let me see your book real quick. No, it's okay. That's what you're doing. Here's what I want you to do for homework. Okay, I'm gonna just mark the pages for you.
You could draw one little finger first. Okay, Christina, I've seen it.
You're gonna do the same thing. This is 2-point perspective. All right, read your emails, so I'm gonna send them to you so you can watch the video, okay? All right, but 2-point perspective, so you're gonna try and draw a cube with 2 points. It's the same thing, just with 2 points. And you're gonna do the same thing here. And I want you to call me if you have trouble, and I'll help you, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to practice trying to do these shapes right here. Try making these 3-dimensional. Okay. And see what you can do. Trying to do 2. This is 2 weighted. So find your vanishing points like we did in the first picture. Try drawing a cube with 2 vanishing points. So you have this horizon line. 2 points. Okay. And then read your emails. We'll send you the video to watch. Okay, do the best you can and just keep practicing 1-point perspective. We're not gonna get much further today. So we're gonna keep working on 1-point perspective and we're gonna introduce 2-point perspective, but we won't get through all of those extra exercises. We're gonna end up spending another week on this. Okay? Okay. So, we have 3 buildings. Who tried to do the 4th building? How'd you do? You did good? Good. So are you guys gonna try doing the 4th building? Yeah. You try doing it without me doing it. Let's see what happens. You try doing it without me. Okay? We are not gonna get much further today. We're gonna keep working on this next week. That means we are going to wait to we are going to wait to start the next section. Okay? No, not yet. We're gonna watch another video. So this, I'm going to tell you that you may find this video kind of silly. Look past the fact that it's a cartoon and listen to what he's telling you and teaching you, okay? It's a silly cartoon, but it has a lot of really good information in it, okay? So, Mr. Brad is an interesting character. That's all I gotta say. Mr. Brad, you're gonna meet him now.
Welcome students, in today's class we are going to learn how to draw anything. Folks like my new microphone, it's got the pedals with the effects on it. It's part of my new awesome DJ rig. It's kind of echoey. It's alright, I'm a pretty well-known DJ around here. DJ Cowboy, anyone? Very popular. Okay, well in our last class we talked about how to draw basic lines and shapes and then how to take those and see them as 3D objects like cubes, spheres, cylinders, and cones. Oops, my bad, didn't mean to step on that pedal this time.
I remember that. You said we could draw anything with those shapes, but you couldn't draw the half-eaten Pop-Tart in the corner.
I didn't say that, we just ran out of time. In art, there's something called construction. The reason we practice drawing those shapes is because we are going to use them over and over again. You're going to be so tired of drawing cubes when I'm done with you. You're going to be dying to draw a sphere. Where's that Pop-Tart? Let's take a look at that thing. What shape does this most look like? It looks like a cube, but obviously it's a very flat cube. So let's shrink that cube down to be flatter. The bites that are taken out of it are like cylinders. We, of course, don't see those cylinders. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out those round shapes from our main cube and still see that three-dimensionality. And then we can add some of the details like the frosting on top and some of the delicious oozing strawberry syrup on the inside.
How about that bookshelf?
This is easy because mostly it's just cubes, but it's a lot of them. The shelf itself is a cube, but it's a hollow cube. So what we're going to draw is we're going to draw those lines inside of it. That way it shows that it has some weight and some depth to it. Now this also has a shelf in the middle. What is that shelf? It's just another flat cube that slides right into the middle. And the books, those are pretty much just cubes. I mean, we cut a little bit out of them to show that they have pages. Each one of these books is a different height and a different width, and that gives them some variation while they're sitting on the shelf.
Well, what about my ice cream bar?
All right, well, that is a cube, but it's not a perfect cube. Obviously, that's rounded on top. So what do we use for the rounded part? We use a cylinder. In fact, we can cut that cylinder in half, jam it into the cube, and we have the rough shape of your ice cream bar. There's also the stick that goes to the bottom. Obviously, this is just another one of those short, flat, stretched out cubes. And like your ice cream bar, it's rounded at the ends. What are those? Those are just half cylinders. Now, of course, when we put it in place, we can't see the whole stick because it's inside of your ice cream bar. Let's take this one to the next level. Let's add some fancy stripes. Now, when we do add these stripes, these are going to follow the path of the cube. Even though these stripes don't have straight lines, they have a wavy edge to them. That wavy edge is still following the shape of our cube. And if we want to get super, mega, ultra fancy, we could make our ice cream look transparent and have part of that stick showing through the middle of it.
Wow.
I know, it's pretty impressive.
Okay, but that guitar is way more complex.
Whew, yeah, well, Mr. Brad, come to the principal's office.
Oh, you're in trouble.
You don't know that. Maybe he wants to give me a raise. I hope. Look, I'll be back, but while I'm gone, I've got an assignment for all of you. Assignment number 1, I want you to go outside and look at the world around you. I want you to start looking at the world like artists. I want you to find objects and think about how you would make those objects and construct those objects using the shapes we've talked about today.
Pro tip, this can be hard to do if you're a beginner, especially if you're not used to drawing in perspective.
We'll be covering that in a future episode. Hit subscribe.
A great way to get a feel for drawing is to find a picture on the internet and try drawing lines over the picture you see. If you have a phone or tablet, you can take your paper and place it right over. It acts like a mini light box so you can see the photo underneath. If you're having a hard time drawing an object, starting with this technique is a good way to visualize how it's constructed before you try drawing it yourself. Also, when you're starting out, it's good to stick to man-made objects. Animals in nature do follow many of the same rules, but organic shapes are a little trickier.
We'll be covering that in the future too. Ring that bell. It's hot out here.
See anything good to draw?
I'm trying to figure out how to do the slide. I guess there's boxes and cylinders. What would that cowboy guy say? Sometimes it's easier to think of objects from the side first. The slide itself is another flat cube. The sides, those are also cubes. So let's take a look at this from the side. Pretty boring, but we can see that the slide is tilted over. The thing is on an angle. The poles going up and down that form the ladder are also on a slight angle. Those poles would be cylinders. And then the steps that are attached to those cylinders, those are just more cubes. The tricky part here is the top. Sometimes these shapes bend. That's where our slide handle comes in. This is why I sometimes like to look at things from different angles, even if you're drawing them in 3D. Looking at them from the top or the side can help you figure out, hey, this is just a simple shape that another shape is following. So then when we step in 3D, practice
We
drawing
have a
this in our
view
cylinders
elevation.
on an angle. If you're new, I understand this is tricky, but this is a good thing to practice. And if you are having trouble, feel free to just sketch out the basic lines and don't think so much about the shapes underneath it first and add the shapes later. It can often help you break this down into its basic shapes. Mr. Principal, you wanted to see me?
Yeah, come in here. I hear you're DJ. I'm throwing a party. You must go to a lot of parties.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty well known. across the Tri-County area for my DJ skills. What kind of music are you looking for?
Oh, no, not that. I just booked DJ Tanner.
What? My nemesis?
I just wanted your opinion on the food.
Right, the
I
food.
told you it's kind of
The
silly.
tire swing is super easy, at least the tire part. That's a cylinder with a cylinder cut out of the middle. I can't get the chains right.
Maybe I can help.
Whoa, you're DJ Tanner.
Wow!
Yep, that's me. Just booked a huge gig. I'm also a part-time art teacher.
Cut it out!
Sometimes there are shapes you can't see, but many other shapes will line on them. The ropes holding up the tire swing form a cone shape. Even though we aren't putting the cone in the final drawing, sketching it out will help us figure out where the rope lines go, and those will be in the final drawing.
Try this one next. Is this fish raw? Of course it is. Why would you even cook a freshly caught perch? Water. I need water. Really bad.
Next, I want you to try the halibut.
Is this salt water?
Okay, I think we have the hang of this. The swing set should be easy. The cylinders follow a triangular shape on both sides. Then another cylinder across the middle to form that top bar. We could add 2 more cylinders as support bars. And the swings, those are just those cubes he keeps going on about. And they're held up by ropes.
Very good. Construction is the first part of drawing, but you can break free from it once you have the core shapes in place. If those swings were swinging, we would see those cubes from different angles. I think you kids are well on your way to becoming great artists.
You're back. Yeah.
Did you get flat?
Fired. Yeah. Oh, wait, it sucked. No. All right. So your last video today, I wanted you to see that. I want you to watch the one we just watched because I want you to start thinking like artists. So if you had trouble drawing your city, I want you practicing drawing your city. The last video I want you to watch while you guys are packing up, your homework is to continue practicing drawing cubes, and I want you to draw me a detailed cityscape. Okay? I want you to have at least 6 buildings. And I want you to try to draw windows on your buildings. Okay? 6 buildings and draw windows on your buildings. Okay? That's your homework assignment. That's video.
About drawing objects in perspective today, and you're going to need every minute of it. Every minute of it.
Hey, this isn't the supply closet.
Someone in my voice.
Oh no, I know that voice.
Hello!
Hi, Mr. Spear.
I didn't get any visitors. Can I get you anything? Water? Pizza? Giraffe milk?
What? No.
Don't freak out about it. It's chilled. Have a seat.
Nice couch, and it's in perspective.
The perspective lines are a handy feature that came with this toy.
This is perfect for my lesson. I can tell the kids to start by blocking out the space that the couch will take up, and then think through the pieces that the couch is made of. We use the construction method that we covered in an earlier lesson. For example, that base is just a simple cube. We can block that in using our perspective lines. The back of the couch, also a cube. The sides of the couch, just 2 more cubes. And the cushions, you guessed it, Cube City. There, we're done.
My couch looks a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty bad at that part.
I didn't know. I read an entire book about this.
My book, yes, that's the one I'm looking for. Hand it over so I can get out of here.
Yeah. About that.
Really?
Don't worry. I memorized the whole thing. I'll walk you through it. Some things you just want to look less boxy. Those couch cushions you can just round off and make the shape look more organic. But for more geometric areas, you have to be able to draw more than just cubes in perspective. For the arms of the couch, you can use a cylinder. Start by drawing a circle in perspective.
Yeah, that's the part I don't like.
A circle fits inside a square. So let's put a square on the arm of the couch, and then put our circle inside that.
Yeah, that's the part that's going to take some practice. And it's okay if it takes a couple of tries to get that circle to look good in perspective. I know it takes me a couple tries. I always try to remember that when we're drawing a circle in a square, the edges of the circle are going to touch the square where the center point is. And the same thing is going to be true when we're drawing a circle in perspective.
There you go.
And then I can go in and erase the lines that don't need anymore. And then anywhere else on the couch, like along the top cushions, I can round off using the same technique.
I hear him in the supply closet.
Is he talking to that crazy Spear?
Oh no, shh. Should we help him?
Absolutely not. The kids! I hear the kids. Kids, tell the people watching they need to subscribe.
What did he say?
Tell the fecal matter to hide.
And ring that bell.
Clean that smell. Definitely clean that smell.
Well, I think I made a pretty nice catch.
You did great.
Why are you being so nice to me today? I thought we were enemies.
We're frenemies. I always went to a false sense of security and then stab you in the back. Now you have to draw something in perspective and at scale.
No, I hate figuring out how to scale things. Don't make me do scale.
You have to.
Scale. All right, let's draw a car right here on the street. How do we figure out the scale of the car when we're drawing it in AC? First, we're going to rough out a cube, and I'm going to do that in perspective. Roughly where I want the car to go. Right about here on the street. The car I'm going to draw isn't going to be as tall as a person. It's going to be a little bit shorter. What can I do to figure out the scale of that? How about this door in the background? I know that that's going to be taller than a person. So I want to use that as my basis to figure out the scale of this car. I'm going to run some perspective lines down from my box towards the vanishing point. I'm also going to run some lines away from the door. Where those lines intersect tells me what the height of the door would be in this location. If I follow those green lines back, that's going to help me figure out what the door is going to look like in the location where my
Are
car
you watching the video,
If I
guys?
want my car to be shorter than the door, I'm going
It
to
sounds like you
cut
guys are off in
the
La La
top
Land.
box. This will give me the rough scale of my car that I'm going to draw.
Your success has taken me by surprise.
This is
Pay attention, he's explaining how to draw the city.
There's this car. We're going to use the construction technique. We use this idea. Right there, I have a little sketch of the side view of the car that I'm going to use as a reference. I'm just going to box out the bottom of the car and drawing that box in perspective. The top
This
box
is drawing of the car.
because as you can see here, it's on an angle. I'm going to just start with a basic cube that's not on an angle, and then shave off the parts that I don't need. On the top of the cube, I'm going to start by drawing a line across the top of the car, and then I can draw a straight line from where that line intersects here down to this corner down here. I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Then I can remove the original lines, and now I have a nice angle that's in perspective. I'm going to repeat this process by drawing a line along the back of the cube and drawing two more angled lines to figure out the back angle of the car window as well.
Did you catch all that?
Yes.
Yeah, but can he do the tires without me?
You have to let him out. Believe it or not, he's the best art teacher we've ever had.
Yeah, so he's not as bad as the last one. Gosh, hey, my name is Rail Rubber, as it is.
For the tires, I'm going to repeat the cube method I use on the couch. Draw a cube where the tire goes. Draw the best circle I can inside that cube. Draw the flat part of the tire along the bottom. Then we're going to draw in the back part of the tire, which is just another circle that's going to match the circle in front of it. We're just not going to see the back part of that circle. Some of the other details, like the grill of the car, are just a bunch of lines that follow our perspective lines. I'm going to use the angle method again, but this time I'm going to use it to add a ridge to the car's hood. These sorts of things do take some practice. They're worth playing around with and worth trying out just to see what you come up with. Right now, I'm going to keep this car pretty boxy, just to keep it simple and easy to practice along with.
We can hear you.
It's the students. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's literally what I just said.
I have an activity for you. Draw another car. This time, put it somewhere else on the grid. What I want you to do is try to understand scale. Use the grid to help you. You can try drawing a car behind the current car we have, or you can try drawing one on the other side of the street. If you want to use the same perspective grid and the same background that I have here to work from, you can download it at bradsartschool.com. I have a handful of lesson resources over there.
We can totally do that.
Totally.
You have to free him.
Fine, but only if he passes my final challenge.
What's your final challenge?
He must draw a person in perspective from a weird angle, or he will be forever trapped in my torture void!
I like that. It's really creative.
Mr. Brad, you have to draw a person from this weird top-down angle.
What? You gotta be kidding me.
Nope, not kidding you.
Okay, here we go. Just like we did with the car, I'm going to block out the space where a person goes by drawing a cube in perspective. I'm going to be using the posing method we covered in a previous video. In that video, we talked about the 7-head principle, the one that said that humans are about 7 heads tall. This is going to help me with my proportions. I want to figure out the center point of our
All the
box.
chat, you
And
guys.
draw lines from one corner of the box down to the other corner, and then do.
All right, so we don't like Brad.
Drawing objects in
So we don't like Brad?
No,
I'm guessing you don't because there was a whole lot of talking going on. It doesn't do any good. No, I want the feedback. I did this. I know that he's like cartoon, but
Silly, even though he doesn't have a neck.
yes, he's silly. He doesn't have a neck. But the point is that he's trying to explain to you the techniques. Okay, I'm trying to give it to you in different ways. I will find different videos for us to use for next week. We are going to continue with perspective next week. You need to practice your 1-point perspective drawings. I want you to be able to draw perfect cubes. And I need you to have your city done next week. So everybody should come in with cubes drawn in your sketchbook, and everybody should have a city. Okay? Your city should have how many buildings? 6. 6 buildings, and what needs to be on the buildings?
Windows.
Doors and windows. Doors and windows. Okay? If you need me, how do you get a hold of me? Email or text me. Yep, you can text me, you can call me. Okay? So, call me, text me, email me. There's no excuses. If you're having trouble, reach out to me, and I'm here to help. Okay? I put in the work. I want you to put in the work. I did ask you what you wanted to say. You did tell me that. I knew you said boneless spirits. Somebody else, you told me boneless spirits. Yes, I do. Yes. I did not always do
I should have said that. Damn.
mushrooms, lo mein. Okay.
We're leaving, right?
You guys are all set. I will see you all next week.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody listening to me.
Do you guys mind just putting here, if the parents aren't here? Just mind, we're gonna just put the
Can
chairs.
you help put the table straight?
Thank you. Somebody lost their nickel. Oh. I love you here. That's probably not.
Yeah, that's fine. Can you help me?
Grab a slice on your way out. Oh, we gotta go this way, sweetheart. You got that in? We're gonna pull it all the way over here. This one.